Perfect. I know everyone's dreaded topic is PowerPoint slides, so I'll try and be pretty brief with this, and then we'll hop right into Flowsum. But really quick, really the agenda: what is code quality scan? When are you going to use it? Benefits for it, and then we'll hop right into the demo, and then really follow up with questions for the team. So what is code quality scan? So ideally, I'll just read off the definition for you, but really it's tools that rapidly look at the code and find errors that lead to security bugs or other problems within the code. Developers are alerted of issues that can be fixed long before the code is input to production. So really, we use Apex PMD, not to kind of spoil my demo out of the box. So you can use it for security measures, maybe the quality of your code, and maybe best practices, naming conventions, maybe you don't want to hard code values. All of this can be accomplished with static code analysis, as I like to call it. So moving on to the next slide. So really, code quality security is the #1 reason why companies like to use it and utilize this. Doing it manually, to be blunt, people get tired of doing it. It kind of makes your eyes bleed after 2 hours of just reviewing code, not to see the code coverage, but just if it's quality, it's cumbersome. So really the top 6 reasons, developers, they aren't hackers. They really are just there to make the code work, make sure there's no bugs in the functionality, but they don't ideally check the quality of it. Is it up to standards with best practice within their company, and is security covered? Number 2 and 1, they go hand in hand. You could lose the implications of having security breaches is huge. Today's climate could be millions, could be billions. The idea of this is that code quality handles this for you. It shouldn't be some very time-intensive process. Let the tool handle it for you and automatically scan that as you move along in your process. 3, 4, 5, and 6, I think they're really all in one. Doing this manually, it takes time. It's expensive. Developers' time is expensive, and what they could be doing in the meantime, it kind of slows down your deployment velocity. And then burnout is really real. Speaking from personal experience, how many times have you been in an hour to 2 hour code review meeting and like 15 minutes in, you're like, this is pretty boring, and I have another hour and 45 minutes of this? You get burnt out pretty quick. Pretty good quote that I do like is, it makes no more sense to write code without code scanning tools than it does to write a paper without spell check. You do want an automated process just to make sure what you're putting out, what you're writing, it looks good. It meets all your standards and criteria. So with that being said, some of the benefits to static code analysis or code quality: increased productivity. So you're going to automate that process where it doesn't need to be manually run, and you don't need to manually review it. And then you can track and control your quality. So if you want to enforce these gates where you need to pass all of these rules that you define, you can do that, where it's an approval process and it's company-wide standard. I've touched on this before, but enhanced security. You can define out-of-the-box rules for security, or write your own custom rules to further lock down or restrict what code's making it to production. And then the 4th, to summarize it all up: faster, cleaner, and better code. If you're enforcing this, you know every time quality code is making it to production where you're not breaking any of those enterprise best practices. So with that being said, I'm going to hop into the demo today. Let me switch to Flowsum. So before we do, I'll walk you through committing code to the branch and seeing that impact or static code analysis tool. But I do want to show you over in the settings tab, 1, how to enforce it, and then 2, how to apply those rules. So before we do, I'll go to the branch. The great thing about our code quality scan, it can be used as just a warning, so you can see what errors you're going to have, but it's not going to stop you up in the process. You can still commit to the repo, merge code, deploy to your target org. Or if you really want to lock this down, you can enforce it. And that means for every rule you define for your static code analysis, you need to pass this before deploying, merging, or committing to the repo. If you don't pass those rules, Flowsum does not allow you to move on. But over here in the settings tab, this is where you're going to configure your rules and your enforcements. So if you go to the settings tab, and for the code quality, this is my trial org. So I always want to make that code review on each commit. Whether I have code in that branch or not, this is going to automatically scan for me. That way I don't need to manually run the report. That takes that burden off of me. And then I want to review classes, pages, and triggers every single time.
Jason, a quick question on that
Mhm.
coming in from our audience. Is that checkbox defaulted to check, or you have to check that?
Yep, so it's going to be defaulted to check. We do have some customers that want to run it manually, and if that's the case, just uncheck it and click save. I can show you throughout the demo too. If you do have this unchecked, I can show you how to manually run that report as well. But for me, I know I'm lazy. I like to get in and out of Flowsum, so I always like to automate as much as I can. So down below here, again, as part of my trial org, I have all these out-of-the-box rules selected. And you can see your rule sets for code style, security, performance, whatever it may be. But if at any given point, you don't want to apply all these rules, like maybe you think the method count, it's not relevant to you, you can simply exclude that. So we update these periodically with all the latest out of the box from PMD. But since this is open source, you are free to write your own rules and upload it with an XML file. We do have some customers, one, they like their naming conventions where they want to enforce that. So they've written custom rules and applied it here. Hard coding values is another custom rule that they can apply. So you are free to lock down that access and write your own custom rules even further. So with this code quality tab, this is just to automate it, what components you're going to automatically review, and the rules. If you want to enforce this, you can click on the pull request and code review tab. And for each of these settings, I'll ignore it for now, but you can enforce this before a deployment, merging branches, so merging a feature into a release, for example, or committing to the repo. If you wanted to mandate like your pull request settings, you could do so and say you need 3 people to approve that pull request before committing to the repo. In addition to that, if you wanted to mandate the static code analysis, that means developers need to pass all the rules defined for static code analysis, and they need 3 approvals. So you can absolutely enforce that, and this can all be reportable on within Flowsum. So I'm going to pause here before we actually hop into static code analysis, but I did just want to walk through configuration, how to set it up. Any questions regarding that? All right, I'll move on. So for this example, I haven't committed to the branch yet. So I do have a standard snapshot that I usually use in my demos that I know there's some bad code in. So I go to my dev1 org, and it's a preloaded snapshot that I already have created. I'll move my Apex class update. I'll click commit to branch. Then I'll select that branch I want to commit it to. I'll commit both of these. So once that's committed, you'll be redirected back to your branch. We'll give this 15 seconds to run so it works through all my rules I've defined. One thing to note, if you don't select that checkbox in the settings tab to automatically scan it, over here in my dropdown, you can manually run your Apex PMD. So if you don't want to automate this, that manual option is always there as well. Additionally, we do offer Apex PMD out of the box since we do think that is the most beneficial to Salesforce. But if you're currently using check marks, code scan, or what am I missing? One other one that I'm missing right now. But either way, we do integrate with all the big name static code analysis tools. So this should have completed at this point. So if we click on the code quality, let this load. So you can see down below here, I review on each commit to the branch. So that first commit, I probably didn't have any code in my branch or they found no issues. The second commit I just did, 24 issues within the class or the trigger. So this report doesn't tell you too much detail, just really how many rules you broke. But when you click on this view report, you can see the error description, the file that was impacted, and then the position within that file. So again, that's standard report, but down below here is going to be all the rules that you broke, the error description for each, the file that was impacted, and then the position within that file. So again, all of these are configurable. You can report on these per sprint, per project, whatever it may be. So in simple, this is the code quality tool within Flowsum. So I would open this to the team. Any questions around functionality within Flowsum? So I wish I had more to show. It really is this simple. Whether you're merging branches, committing to them, if you have it automatically checked, this is automatically going to run every time for you.